My 11th Circle presents Cricbuzz Live, and we're looking this time at Bangladesh. More experienced, better than they've ever been in their history, I think, but also as emotional as ever. And I don't know if the deep emotion with which they play their cricket, which could be their strength, is going to sustain them over 9 matches, because this is a grueling World Cup, and they'll really have to be more clinical than emotional. But let's look a little more closely at what works for Bangladesh and what doesn't. They're an outstanding team at home. Their win percent of 72% is excellent. The problem for them, though, is that away it drops to 39%. No team has a bigger split home and away as Bangladesh do. I mean, they've won 7 out of 8 series at home. The economy rates at home are excellent, but sadly for Bangladesh, there is no greater difference in conditions at the World Cup than what they would play in at home and what they will encounter in England. On those slow, spongy surfaces, they're among the best in the world at home, but very different conditions up in England. What's in favor of Bangladesh at this World Cup? Enormous experience. You look at the core of that side. They've been around for a long time. Tamim Iqbal, Shakib, Hasan, Mushfiqur Rahim, Mortaza, even look at Mahmudullah, Rubel. They've all been around for a long time. They've got a lot of cricket behind them. You look at teams that had breakout World Cups, they all had a core that had played together for a long time, and this core is going to come in really handy for them. The batting is built around Tamim Iqbal. He's been a wonderful servant of Bangladesh cricket. From the 2015 World Cup, he averages 57. And if they can find a good compatriot, I think Shami Sarkar has enormous ability, and he's starting to sort of make his presence felt. Then they set it up for the experienced score of Shakib, Mushfiq, Mahmudullah probably at 5. At 6, they've got the option between playing the dashing Shabir Rahman or Mohammad Mithun, who's got ability too. And then you go down to number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think the batting up there is as good as any. Then they've got a couple of all-rounders. Musaddiq bowls a little bit. He can be a good tonker. He got a 20-ball 50 the other day. So if he's coming in at 7, Mehdi Hasan at 8, then they've got enough options. But look at all the all-round options we've talked about so far. Shami Sarkar bowls a bit of seam up, but we've looked at Shakib, we looked at Mahmudullah, looked at Musaddiq, looked at Mehdi Hasan. They're all spin bowling all-rounders. That is their great strength when they're playing on the subcontinent. But when they play away, they'll probably need a little more seam-up support. They've got 3 good seam-up bowlers to go to. In fact, 4. They can pick 3 out of those. Mortaza will probably come behind the new ball or take it initially for a while. He's not the bowler that he was, but he's still canny. He's a clever bowler. They've got Rubel and they've got Fiz. I think the return of Fiz, of Mustafizur, is the best thing that happened to them. I was afraid at one point that Bangladesh might lose him to injury, to lose him to playing the T20 leagues around, and just become someone who's taking the pace off. His numbers in the last 2 or 3 years are excellent, whether you're looking at strike rate, at averages, at economy rate. And I know Bangladesh rate Abu Jaid very high. They might play him instead of Rubel, but at least they've got all those options there. But for them to be a force at the World Cup, those seam bowlers will have to deliver and then set it up. I mean, I know that as the tournament progresses, the tracks might get drier, might get slower, the spinners might come along, but certainly in the early part of the tournament, they'll want a little bit more from their seamers. There's one other factor that's going in Bangladesh's favor, and that is that through the period of turbulence, something like what Sri Lanka are experiencing at the moment, Bangladesh were going through captains, they were going through players, and then they said, no, Mushfiqur Mortaza will be their captain. And he picked up his creaking knees and ankles, and we sometimes laugh at saying his body's probably held up with safety pins, but what he's done to bring stability to that Bangladesh team is excellent. He's one of the best captains going around. So Mushfiqur Mortaza will hold that team together, and maybe after the World Cup go back to the career in politics that seems to beckon. I think they're a good side. I think they'll upset some teams at the World Cup, but I'm just not certain they have the firepower in those English conditions to go all the way. So lots of world-class players. Shakib has gone back to being the #1 all-rounder on the ICC rankings. Mushfiqur Rahim is always feisty player, as we in India know very well. Mahmudullah can take them, can finish matches very well with people like Shabir. Liton Das is another good player that's available to them. I think they've got a very good core. I just don't know if that emotional core and whether they have the consistency to take them through to the semi-final, but people will not take Bangladesh too lightly at this World Cup.